10 unbelievable places that exist around the Bay of Kotor. The Bay of Kotor, known also as simply Boka, is a bay in the heart of the Adriatic Sea in southwestern Montenegro. The Bay of Kotor is an incredible travel destination for a number of reasons, but its biggest draw is its magnificent scenery. Although it is not technically a fjord, it resembles one, with green mountains providing an epic backdrop to the blue waters of the bay. The Orion Mountains to the west and the Lovegen Mountains to the east surround this beautiful bay. Kotor Bay can be divided into 4 main gulfs connected by narrower channels, each of which is worth visiting. Kotor Bay is a destination rich with historical significance. Many of the cities, towns and villages surrounding the bay itself are medieval in nature and perfectly preserved. This attracts history and architecture enthusiasts from around the world who can tour countless structures from antiquity. The Bay of Kotor also boasts a number of Orthodox Christian and Catholic churches and cathedrals, many of which serve as a kind of mecca for religious scholars and pilgrims. To top it all off, the Mediterranean climate of this wonderful destination means that hiking, boating and other outdoor activities are possible throughout the year. 10. Stolia. Yet again, visitors to the Bay of Kotor will find themselves in a divided city. Stolia is made up of 2 parts, the lower and the upper, and both are worth exploring. This is the coastal section of town, and it features a collection of traditional stone houses just steps from the water. For an unusual but unforgettable accommodation option, some of these local homes offer camping right in their yards, letting you sleep under a canopy and listen to the sounds of the tides changing as you fall asleep in the fresh air at night. A short hike of just 30 minutes will take you from the coastal part of Stolia to the upper part. Tourists are few and far between here, particularly outside of the summer months, so it can be a fantastic way to experience the real Montenegro away from the crowds. 9. Tivat. Another of the 4 gulfs that makes up the Bay of Kotor is Tivat. The name Tivat may be recognizable because it is home to the region's only major international airport. What was once an old naval base has recently transformed into a sophisticated, elegant and upscale marina. You can walk along the edge of the marina, soak in the sun and admire dozens of yachts owned by the rich and famous who come to Tivat for its climate and atmosphere. One of the things that Tivat is best known for today is its culinary scene. Plus, as a city in Montenegro, you can expect to dig into culinary specialties like lamb, polenta and trout. To cater to the upscale international travelers at the marina, however, Tivat also offers an array of international cuisine with an emphasis on fine Italian and French dining. 8. Conch. Just 5 kilometers, 3 miles, away from Kotor, you'll come across the charming town of Conch. Accessible only via a one-way road, Conch is far off the beaten track, making it a treasure worth exploring. Many other notable figures throughout history have thought the same, including dozens of successful ship captains of the past who opted to retire there. Famously, Austrian Emperor Franz Joseph visited Conch, where he was greeted and welcomed by the wealthy naval captains who called the town home. If you're fascinated by the small town's naval history, you can also take a look at the impressive collection at the Nautical Museum. Keep in mind that while Conch doesn't have a lot in the way of major tourism attractions, that is all part of its appeal. Visiting Conch means having the chance to stroll through one-way streets with locals, pick up inexpensive souvenirs at the local post office and dine or drink with residents at the handful of tiny restaurants in the area. 7. Harass Islands. There are 2 amazing islands off the coast of Harass. The island of St. George, Ostrovo Sveti Ord, is one of the isles, the other being Our Lady of the Rocks, Gospa od Skrpela. The island contains the St. George Benedictine Monastery, which was first mentioned in 1166 in documents describing the consecration of the new, Second Romanesque Church of St. Tryphon in Kotor. The island also contains an old graveyard for the old nobility from Harass. The island was artificially created and contains a Roman Catholic church. According to a legend, after finding the icon of Madonna and Child here on July 22, 1452, seamen would lay a rock in the sea after returning from a successful voyage. Over time, the islet gradually emerged from the sea. The custom of throwing rocks into the sea is alive even nowadays. 6. Rizin. One of the inner gulfs that make up the Bay of Kotor is Rizin. If you love history, then Rizin should absolutely make its way onto your itinerary. The hub of Rizin is the central square known as TRG 21 Novembra. It is here that you'll find charming cafes and small shops catering to locals and tourists alike. Of course, Rizin is a seaside town, which means that it offers several small beaches that are ideal for families, swimming or just tanning in the enviable climate. 5. Lustica Peninsula. The Lustica Peninsula is the piece of land that separates the Bay of Kotor, and more specifically the Gulf of Tivat, from the rest of the Adriatic Sea. Until recently, this peninsula was off the tourism radar, and much of the land is still made up of olive groves and small, traditional villages. As development among the Bay of Kotor increases, however, plans are being made to develop much of the coastal parts of the Lustica Peninsula. In Kurtoli, a major destination in the peninsula, you will find a number of secluded pebble beaches that are ideal for swimming, soaking in the sun or just enjoying the views over the sea. West of Kurtoli is Bielila, a fantastic representation of an authentic fishing village in Montenegro. Largely undeveloped and free from hordes of tourists, Bielila is the place to go if you want to see tiny stone houses right on the shoreline or dig into freshly caught seafood sold at a fraction of the hotel restaurant prices typical of the area. On the western tip of the Lustica Peninsula is Roed, another charming fishing village. Hikes in the area take you to spectacular vantage points that offer views of the Bay of Kotor as well as the Adriatic Sea in one panoramic vista. For most of the year, Roed is a quiet destination, but in the summer you'll come across greater numbers of tourists who come for the affordable accommodation in the authentic atmosphere. Along the southern coastline is a series of clean beaches that are popular with day trippers from Herceg-Novi. Dobrek is only accessible by sea and boasts one of the cleanest beaches in all of Montenegro. The large pebbly beach of Zanjes sits in a sheltered cove below the olive groves, attracting plenty of people in the high season. Further east at the base of the peninsula near the main town Radovici, lies the sandy beach of Plavi Horizont, Blue Horizon. Encircled by green pine woods, this semicircular-shaped beach is probably one of the most beautiful in all of Montenegro. 4. Lovegen National Park. Just over an hour's drive from the city of Kotor is the Lovegen National Park, which is centered around Mount Lovegen. The black mountain that gave Crna Gora, Montenegro, its name is more than just a tall peak. It truly is a part of the nation's culture and identity, and it can be compared to Mount Olympus in Greece in terms of historical significance. The majority of Lovegen National Park is wooded, with lush greenery that only looks better after a brief rain. There is an incredible array of wildlife here, which includes countless reptiles, brown bears, wolves and nearly 300 different species of birds and butterflies. Bring your binoculars, because there is a good chance you could spot an imperial eagle or a peregrine falcon on their migration route to Lake Scatter. The dramatic building is reached by a hike up 461 steps on foot from the parking lot. Inside the mausoleum is a large granite statue of Njagos in a darkened room that contains his tomb. You can see more than half of Montenegro from the summit, from the Bay of Kotor to Lake Scatter to Podgorica. For those who appreciate outdoor recreation, Lovegen National Park is a dream come true. You will find miles of trails that are unpaved but well marked, making it suitable for a casual hike or a serious mountain biking expedition. 3. Herceg-Novi. At the entrance of Kotor Bay is Herceg-Novi, which translates as New Castle. Herceg-Novi is located right at the foot of Mount Orion, and it is a scenic, historic but pristine alternative to some of the larger coastal cities in the region. Herceg-Novi dates back to the 14th century, and in that time several empires and cultures have inundated and left reminders of their presence. Just outside of the city is the Savina Monastery, which dates back to the 14th century and offers some of the most amazing views imaginable over the bay. Several pebble beaches beckon, and during the summer there are crowds of swimmers enjoying the waters of the Bay of Kotor. Walk along the promenade to enjoy a nice breeze, and then stop at Igalo for the town's famous mud therapy spa treatments. 2. Harass. At first glance, it is hard to believe that Harass is actually a small town in Montenegro. The residents number in the hundreds, and there is just one main street that runs through Harass. Nonetheless, it is an amazing destination that looks like it belongs in Venice, Italy, rather than in coastal Montenegro. Almost all of the structures in Harass were built in the Baroque style, and that cohesive look is what makes the destination so appealing. You'll have no trouble walking around to see all that Harass has to offer, since the town is on such a small scale. The town boasts a staggering 16 churches and 17 impressive palazzos, showcasing how important this small town once was. A few of the grand homes are abandoned, and the ruins can be toured, although celebrities and royals alike are reinvigorating the town by buying and restoring some of these spectacular residences. 1. Kotor. The second of the 4 Gulf destinations in the Bay of Kotor is Kotor itself. In recent years, the city has seen a steady increase in tourists, many of them coming by cruise ship. Kotor is defined by its ancient city walls, which were constructed first in the 9th century and eventually completed in the 18th century. While it is worthwhile to see and even climb up the city walls during the day, by night they transform into a glowing display that gives the entire town a stunning aura of light. You'll be delighted to start your time in the city by strolling along the winding lanes of Kotor's Stari Grad, Old Town, which are actually paved with marble mined from the local area. Entirely enclosed by ancient walls, the town is accessed by 4 gates: the main gate, along the bay, the north gate, the south gate, and a smaller new gate. As you wander, make sure you keep a map on hand, because the city is known for its maze-like street grid that even locals get lost on. Around every corner is a new attraction and a building dating back hundreds of years, making it like a treasure hunt for history enthusiasts. Housed in a palace from the 18th century, the museum boasts an extensive collection of artifacts as well as the earliest remaining photographs showing Kotor and its development over time.